Greetings and welcome to a Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is February 3rd. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing great. I gotta say, things are looking up. Outside of my technical issues, I had some issues with my computer. This is a long story. I'm gonna make it short. I had to get a new one, and I cannot get my podcast mic to connect to it. So I'm going old school headphones. Apologies for the audio.
Don't apologize for anything.
A little bit.
Don't apologize for anything. The people of this podcast don't come for the audio quality, and they've been in the trenches with us now for what, like 6 years. They've been much worse, including in multiple moving vehicles. This is just fine. But it was a great weekend of golf. Really good to be back in the saddle here with you as we flipped the calendar to February. Not a first of the month recording, of course, but a third. Oh, happy birthday, my mom's third of the month. So we're moving on. Pebble Beach, great week. I don't know, man. Last week was just like kind of, to use your phrase, fill up the tank week for me with golf, right? I played my first round since really like November or September, October. Had a great round with you at the park, just a great place. TGL, I kind of had a ball. Like I had fun, as I talked about. Just like re-engaged with, some people there that are pros and just getting back in the saddle on the road there. And then we had like a really great event that I was jazzed up for before it started. Would say the same regardless of who won today, right? I think we were set up for something good, whether Rory, we got a quote unquote like marquee winner or not. I just was like really back into the game over the last like 8 days. And it capped off today with a Rory McIlroy win at Pebble Beach. Wouldn't say it was really dramatic. Wasn't really close. It was great to watch, fun to watch as he like kind of overwhelmed everybody. But it was a great finish to a good week for me with the game, both pro and otherwise. So
yeah, I thought the entire tournament was wonderful. It was like you had a great mixture. You got the Bluebird day today. Yesterday, you got to see the guys go at it, and saw the boys go at it in some elements, and then you had the 2 earlier days in the week. It was a delightful watch, and I think we always have this conversation with when Rory wins. Is like, what does this mean? Does this mean anything? Just because you reach a certain point in your career where you've won so much, over 40 wins worldwide, 27 on the PGA Tour now, where, winning a Rocket Mortgage doesn't matter. I do think winning at Pebble Beach matters for him. It is a venue he hasn't won at. He didn't play very much there. But I think it's significant to win at Pebble Beach, just in terms of the players that have all won there. Like all the greats pretty much have won something there, and winning there. And, it's got U.S. Opens coming up. I don't know if you heard, but it's hosting a lot of U.S. Opens. So it's probably a good thing in that regard.
He joins a winner's role, honestly, with some of the greats in the game. Guys like Ted Potter Jr., Tom Hoagie, DA Points. All the greats have won at Pebble Beach. The Wizard, one of my favorites. Nick Taylor, some of those. Like everybody's done this event. No, we frame this probably way too much every time Rory wins. We get way too into it.
What does it mean?
Like this event has been like kind of a not great event for a while, as the list as Ted Potter Jr., Tom Hoagie might indicate. But this week it was a very stout event, and Pebble's a great place. He talked about one of the cathedrals of the game. That seems to be the poll quill everybody's using for their articles and their headlines and things like that. He was a blast to watch. It does a January win do anything? He talked about does he get shit for the places he's won? He kind of brought that up himself. Like, I guess,
I've been reading Twitter last night because I think that was going around on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I guess. I don't know. He's won 4 majors at Royal Liverpool, Ocean Course, Congressional. They're not. I mean, he's top 5 at pretty much every golf course in the world, at this point, LACC. I don't know. I don't think of him as like, oh, he can only play the Masters well, or he can only play the Open well, or he doesn't, I've never thought of it that way. I guess that would be really quirky. And winning a Pebble Beach event in January doesn't really change that dynamic for me. Well, it's a great place to win.
Yeah. I think his broader point was he feels like, he's the most complete player he's ever been, right? And that he can win anywhere. And I would say that, like, Pebble Beach, now he overpowered and overwhelmed the golf course this week. But it's not necessarily a golf course that lends itself to being overwhelmed with distance. Like, in order to overwhelm it with distance, you have to hit the driver extraordinarily straight and into some places that are rather uncomfortable, like taking a tee shot over the tree on 14 or taking a tee shot on 18 on the line that he took it on 3 of the days this week. He made 3 eagles on par 5s. He made two eagles on par 5s. He had the hole in one. It was his 3rd eagle. But the thing about it is, like, Pebble is not, I don't think it's necessarily a golf course that really, like, fits Rory McIlroy's eye. This is not Quail Hollow, where every bunker he can fly and other people can't fly it, right? This is a golf course that, like, he hit a lot of wedges, and I think if you want to be encouraged about things, like, the wedge play looks better than ever. I think he might be been in the lab on that, getting some unsubstantiated rumors about that. He's been in the lab. But yeah, I think this is a great example of a golf course that maybe he doesn't win at early in his career.
He was close to DFL last year while winning the amateur. It was a Pro-Am part of it. He didn't play well there. It was a 54-hole event. I would say, I think this is the course on tour that takes driver out of your hands more than anyone. I think it's like between 40 and 50% of the time you hit driver here. And of course, he gained strokes off the tee. I think he led the field in that. But it wasn't like the preponderance of, like, why or how he won necessarily. Of course, it helps at 14. Of course, it helps at 18 when you can take some of those lines. I love at 18. Did you call it the Reevy ball? I'm sorry. It was a kind of a fitting homage to one of the great moments in history of Pebble Beach.
What was the number? I was having trouble remembering.
I think it was 210. It wasn't. It was like 208 or something. It was not 230. I think it was much shorter than that.
I thought it was either, somebody asked, I thought it was 208 or 218. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I think that's probably about the area. But he, I think look, he says he's trying to emulate Scotty Scheffler and not make bogeys, this whole thing. I wouldn't say he played conservative necessarily or like ratchet it down. He did there at 18 with the shot. But his best round of the day or best round of the week was Saturday 65, right? And we talk about, look, I think, like, more than ever, you say he's a more complete player. Like, his brain seems to be, like, really engaged on certain things, right? Like, whether it's a goal, we saw at Royal County Down in September, right? Place like, all right, this gets me going. Same sort of happened with Pebble. He got some wind, and on Saturday, and he seemed to, like, knuckle down. I mean, that was I think he gained like 6.5 shots. Lowry shot a 65 too that day, and in the wind, bogey with, like, look, shorter course, but still bogeys out there forever and crazy winds. Like, that takes real sort of real golf brain to match your talent. And this is what we've seen from him now for the last, like, 4, 5, 6 years, especially at majors and otherwise. And so that was the round of the week for me, his Saturday 65. I know Lowry did it with him step by step, but that's where he kind of got this one done. And Sunday, he was allowed to we didn't get to see it when he took the lead for good at 7. It was, on streaming only at that point. But yeah, it clearly means something to him to play in conditions, whereas early in his career, he's like, I don't like the rain and the wind necessarily. and be like a course of some consequence. And we saw that really engage him and match up with his strategy of like, I don't want to make any bogeys. I want to be like Scotty. Another thing I'll say, for a guy who's like pretty much like seen it all now for about whatever, like 16 years, 17 years, he's I guess probably been the most consistently good player for that stretch. But he kind of like looks around and like, all right, well, I'm not like infallible. I'm not the best. Sometimes it works against him, like Bryson, right? He did the speed chase and went too far with that. And now it apparently like he's this Scotty thing. I'm not saying he wants to be Scotty or that's the game he wants, like, but I think he takes a great admiration and like just the lack of bogeys, lack of mistakes. And that's how I just win signature events. So I win when I show up and it's not necessarily a major. And that's what Scotty's done so impressively, like week to week to week to week.
Yeah, I think where you'll see the I guess Scheffler effect on Rory's game the most is probably targets on approach shots, where he's just going to be a little bit more conservative. I mean, I think like the driver, he would be silly to not utilize it as a weapon as much as possible, right? So I watched like an insane amount of golf this week. I think I watched all of every single. I think I watched every single minute of televised action, which might be, that's like that's major championship stuff for me, but not necessarily like run of your mill PGA Tour events. But I'll tell you what I thought the key to the entire tournament was. Rory McIlroy on Friday was completely like he was just unfolding. He was just like the game. He was awful on the back nine on Friday. Awful. Legitimately just flushing shots down the toilet. Like over and over. He goes, he had four bogeys from 12 through 17. And they were like gross bogeys. Like just like not good at all. And then on 18, he gets on AT&T after another really disappointing bogey on 17. Just hammers a drive up there, hits his approach shot to 25 feet, makes a putt, makes an eagle. And then sure enough, the next day, he goes out in really bad conditions, shoots a bogey-free 65. Like I'm like a big believer with golf with like momentum. If he had made like a par on 18, he probably would have felt like he just shot himself completely out of the tournament. But there he made like a couple swings. He didn't take himself out of it. And then it led into this big weekend, which he played extraordinary. I thought there was an interesting quote in the post round where he said, after this, he said, is this, he was just talking about his game. I think so. Yeah, I think it is. I think, and it comes with age, it comes with experience, it comes with a little bit of maturity. Over the last, I feel like over the last few years, I've been able to not get frustrated as easily at things that I can't control, whether it be the golf course or the conditions or things like that. I think like a young player in that situation, this is like the difference between a 24-year-old Rory and this. He's out of the tournament after Friday afternoon, but he makes the eagle and he's like, oh, it's not over. And he ends up winning the tournament. He blows everybody apart. Like when you think about where he was after the 17th hole on Friday, he was like pretty far back. I think he was probably like maybe 7 shots back of Straka at that point.
Yeah.
And he had to have felt like he was like, he lost grip of the tournament completely.
Right. I'd say more than most. This is purely anecdotal. Like Rory feels like a momentum player more than most, right? It feels like he's one who can like take a small win like that, like you're talking about on his 18th hole, and like make it mean something, a smaller win like that and make it mean something on the weekend. And we've seen them do that in events where he's going to win, where he's not going to win. He just, I don't know. He feels like a real momentum player that can kind of feast once it gets going. Saturday's round he was kind of a maniac. He scrambled like a maniac and didn't make a bogey. He did all day Saturday, and then same for Sunday until 8. He got bid at 8 when he missed the green left there. Then missed the green left at 9. 9's such a nice, interesting hole, right? With all the scariness that's out to the right, namely the biggest ocean in the world. But like missing left is kind of dead because guys would get scared going away from it. And he missed left and just got this comfy little bounce to basically pin high from the high stuff. So like that was a big thing after bogeying 8, his only bogey. But yeah, he scrambled like a maniac. Go ahead.
One thing about 8 while we're there.
Yeah.
I had this in my notes. Rory, great quote on Saturday, just talking about venues and just throwing the tours, run-of-the-mill TPC courses under the bus. But he for people that want to know like that why venues matter, 8 was like a great illustration of that. Like he hit like that pin on the right is scary. He watches Lowry's ball just get devoured by the wind and come up short in a bad spot. And what do you do there? Like you bail left. And it turns out like at your run-of-the-mill TPC course, it's just a simple up and down. He was like a yard off the green. It's a simple up and down. At Pebble Beach, that up and down's impossible. Like it's like, okay, you're gonna bail. We're gonna put you in a spot you're gonna make a bogey from. Like, and he catches the slope, the spine, and it funds it. And there's no way he was gonna. He had to hit like a miraculous chip to make a par there, and he makes a bogey. But this is why venues matter, is because at your run-of-the-mill TPC course, not my quote. That is just like they just chip it up there, and it's an easy up and down because like he didn't short side himself. He had plenty of green to work with, but this is the difference between really good golf courses and mediocre ones.
Yeah, that was quite I have that venues quote. He's just excellence is fun to watch. He's really, really fun to watch when he's grooving. Like Scotty's the same way. People say Scotty's boring. Like Scotty's been incredible to watch. Like the product, we talk about the product. We need to do this. We need to do that. At the end of the day, like you just want the best players in the world, like flying, peaking in their element, playing great golf, and watching Rory do that was more than enough for me, at least. And maybe you need, some. If you want bells and whistles, go to TGL on Tuesday or whatever it is. But like grooving the 3-wood on 11, all these like little different things that he just like does now, and then decided on 14 3 days in a row. That was, it's an incredible feat. I think he led the field and driving distance by like some insane spread, like 17 yards or something like that over Gary Woodland. But it's just go ahead.
Just in general, I mean, this is like the classic superstar type performance. You've got a bunched leaderboard. If you want to use the basketball analogy, or if you want to use a football analogy, it feels like your team can win it. Like if you're rooting for Tom Kim or Justin Rose or Sepp Straka, and then at a certain point, and it felt like when he made birdie on 12. That was like, you're kind of like, oh, okay. And then like on 14, it's like, oh, like the guy I'm rooting for can't do that. And if it's like a basketball game, it's like you're playing Steph Curry, and it's like, well, our guy can't do that. Like,
Mahomes gets the ball with 40 seconds to go, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm scared now.
Exactly. Right. So it's just like, I think it's like the quintessential superstar experience. And I think like that's what was fun about it, is like, and this is why golf tournaments are need to be 72 holes, is that like, think about this, if a 54 hole event, like Sepp Straka wins, probably not, but like it might be a playoff, but like that extra day just adds so much opportunity for greatness to show out.
Don't take a run at the tank. I think there's an asterisk on this Rory win because the tank's battling the flu. He didn't get the full tank experience, quite honestly. He didn't have to go against a fully healthy tank on the weekend. What else do you have on Rory's win? It's like a boost for the PGA Tour. I assume the ratings, if that's how we measure everything now, will be, significant on a CBS on a Sunday and no football and all in Rory and a good leaderboard to start the week. I assume they'll be significant. He joins Kyle Porter, did a little research on this, had a good stat. The last golfers to win, he's just 27 wins on the PGA Tour alone. Last golfers to win 27 times plus 4 and have 4+ majors in the last 30 years are Tiger and Phil. And that's good company to be in. And you look at the all-time wins list on the PGA Tour, and it's all old guys. It's not a modern list at all. Of course, they're like modern guys are still racking them up, but like of the last 30 years, it's like Tiger and Phil and VJ. And then it's all guys who were playing a long time ago. And it's just harder to win. And, I don't know that this means Rory's now at this level. It's a PGA Tour win. It's at a very significant place, but it speaks to a little bit of consistency. Like when he won his first pro event, like the guys in the field at this AT&T in 2009 are like all Champions Tour guys now, right? Or off the Champions Tour, not even Champions Tour. DJ won it, so he was the unique case. But you look at that top 10.
DJ's semi-retired now.
And now he's got an official jeweler for the Aces. He's been out working the sponsored game. They got an Iceman now for the 4 Aces.
Sad? The goats are so sad now.
Oh my God. I saw some like PR release for them this weekend of the photograph. They're just
Bubba, Ben Campbell, Peter Uihlein, and
Frankenstein of a team. They've just jammed together. It makes no sense. There's no cohesion.
Matt Wolf.
Ben Campbell, Matt Wolf. Uihlein's just on an island. Can't love. It doesn't seem like good vibes team, but they're a disaster. And then the relegated and re-promoted Bubba. So yeah,
you asked me about my Rory, any other Rory thoughts. I think like in general, like when we juxtapose last year, he's just in a much, much better spot at this point in the year. Like last year, I think he got off to a good start. He won the Dubai event. He played well in the Dubai event that Ken Wyan played poorly in. Or he finished second in that one. But the thing is, like, he came to America and it just seemed everything it wasn't working, right? The golf swing wasn't in a good spot, and it ended up him getting like he was like kind of scrambling ahead of Augusta.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like if you could take anything from Scotty Scheffler the last couple of years, is like Scotty's like lead into the Masters has been outstanding, and you go in there with a lot of confidence. Like it's just not a place that you want to go in wondering about your golf swing. And to me, it seems like Rory's golf swing from driver through wedge is, just based off, I don't want to be just based off this week, limited sample size, but driver through wedge looked about as good as we've seen outside of, performances in major championships.
He's like one of those guys where, he's too good to not make birdies, right? Like the birdies was it before last year, like before the Masters? Was it the Players where he like might have led the field in birdies, but was like shooting like 68 or 69 because he was having doubles and all these things. And like you said, he's too good he's just gonna make birdies because whether he's playing poorly or good, bad, indifferent, he's going to make birdies. And yeah, it's like it's all exactly what he's talking about. Like, can I just turn like an 8 birdie round not into like a 65 as opposed to 70 because I made a double and a couple bogeys in a row? That's kind of what you're talking about last year with his Q1 going to the Masters. It was just a little sloppier.
Remember he was doing like that pre-swing rehearsal?
Yeah. Yeah.
at the Masters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he debuted it at Houston.
Valero, Houston,
or Valero. He that's
yeah,
where he started doing it at Valero.
yeah,
And they did it at the Masters, and then at the Heritage, it was gone.
yeah.
Has not been the pre swing, like a little like Ricky Fowler rehearsal hasn't been seen since.
What grade would you give this event overall? It was
I on top of this, like, I mean, it's kind of wild to me, like how big of a gulf there is between our two broadcast partners. Like, it doesn't feel this way. It does not feel this way when you watch a game on CBS versus Fox. When you watch an NFL game on CBS and Fox. But I'll tell you what, like, an event that CBS broadcasts feels a lot bigger than an event NBC broadcasts right now, because like it actually feels like CBS gives a shit. And they're trying new stuff. And they're trying to bring new stuff. Like the drone with the shot tracer is awesome.
Incredible. God,
especially a Pebble with the ocean. It's like
so good.
Then couple that with a broadcast booth that like actually gives opinions, and it actually feels like they aren't like bound by the PGA Tour. Like they talked about pace of play last week. Dottie went off about pace of play. This week they were talking openly about how there needed to be some regulation with the driver heads and the golf ball. Like it's actively talking about the issues in golf.
You know, there was a moment in the broadcast, there was a tailor-made sponsored segment of like, drive for this success or something. And Rory, it was a focus on Rory, and like he's using the new whatever QI 35 or whatever it is, and he's hitting it this far, and here's how much he's gained and all this stuff. And it's just like the guy you're spotlighting is the one who's like thinks the ball needs to be reined in and rolled back, and the guy who's taking it up and over 14 is the one who think like. And we know that some of the best talents, the equipment's actually, compacted the talent, right? And skill. And we don't have to like, you don't have to piss on someone until it's raining anymore, right? It just feels like the broadcast, we know what the issue is. Well, you can say it's bad, you can say it's good, but it's so far out there, and we just don't have to pretend like certain things aren't like what we're not watching what's in front of our eyes, whether it's slow play, whether it's a ball that's like really or equipment that's really changed the way courses are challenge anybody. It's not, you're not asking for somebody to go crazy to just deliver these like takedowns on broadcast. It's just like let's not pretend that something's different than what's right in front of us, what's so obvious and clear in front of us. And that was, it was just dawned on me as they did another like tailor-made sponsored segment. You had like the broadcast talking about that. You had the guy who's focused on being like, maybe Rory, maybe we should dial it back a little bit. I could not believe, I almost said this last week, but I didn't want to come off as like a bullshit art. CBS, and it's crazy. This used to be the opposite, probably like 7 years ago, 5 years ago. Like when they came on last week with Tori, the event like just felt like a little bit bigger to me. And that's a really undefined thing. There's just a gravitas with some of those names, with some of the voices, the presentation. And this is even Tori I'm talking about, where it just felt like, this seems like significant that they're back and they're doing this. And they get a masterpiece this week in Pebble, right? And they kind of brought it. I tweeted on, was it when Scotty was on the beach? I guess it would have been Friday, and they had like the drone out over that. Like just they're getting everything, all the shots, mix the conversation. It just was a really, really significant broadcast presentation that the PGA Tour for this week should get. Anyways, this was I don't know if the PGA Tour needed this or whatever, but shit, I was really excited for it ahead of time, and I think it all kind of lived up to the hype. Is this a win for the signature event model? That
I just think there should be a cut. This event, if you got to 100 players,
get them out of there. They cut the celebs, got them out of there.
I think I will not. I guess until we. I don't understand why the signature events can't be what Augusta does, where it's roughly 100 people and you cut it to 50.
Charlie Hoffman's writing a letter. I don't know why or to whom about how we need more. The Aeon Swing 5 needs to be more significant. So maybe that could be a way they bump it.
I honestly wouldn't mind it. I think I found what did you think of Scotty's comeback before we get to Chuck Hoffman? What are your other odds and ends?
I got a bunch. Septic tank getting relief from the AT&T side. I saw you were on that. I was watching that early this morning, or 1:15.
He got to place it. He got to place it in the native.
Just like the resort guests who pay $700 or whatever it is for a tee time. They just have AT&T signs when they hit one lawn. What was it, a 7-wood? He bombed over the green. And because there's AT&T sign there, he gets to place the ball in the native.
The dropping stuff is ridiculous. Every time a tour player drops, it just they've figured out how to game the drop since they moved it to the knee, where it just automatically becomes a place. It feels like to me it's a bad drop if it actually goes as a drop. They haven't done their job dropping.
Yes. It's a skill. It's a skill now. That was
all
bullshit.
of them go.
It's not a grandstand. It's a thing. It's an accoutrement. It's an AT&T sign, and it's impacting the play. Now, Sepp was a mess early on. He couldn't putt.
Do you remember when an entire gallery moved a rock for Tiger?
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that AT&T sign could have been moved. It looked like it was just a fixture on the ground. It looked pretty light. Right?
Well, then you get into a pace of play issue. You got to come in, got to bring extra muscle in.
How about YTK?
Walking back on 18. Man, they got on him. They got on him, thankfully. They hammered him at 6 for waggling and standing. You address the ball and wag. What do you take a minute after address? Mm-hmm. And then they're kind of subtle and then not subtle. Colt, you got to be paying attention. He goes, I'll tell you what, he did stand over it for a really long time. He threw that one in there later in the round at 12 or something. He got popped, and I guess they were put on the clock by 13 or 14. They were officially put on the clock. Tom Kim, his global superstardom is, I know he had a big day at TGL. Just there's some backlash to the YTK stuff, some backlash, both out there in the public, and then I think amongst the boys, he seems like he's a hothead. And can kind of be
I don't think he's a locker room favorite. This is just
I'm pretty certain of it. No, I'm sure there are guys that love him, but it seems like he also has rubbed people the wrong way. What'd you make of it? Of his pace of play?
They called it out. It was terrible. I will say, as far as global superstardom, I heard them talk about him gaining speed on the telecast.
Yeah. They talked about that a lot.
So I checked in with our resident stat head. I would call him a YTK hater. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Joseph Lamagna.
Well, I think he's just skeptical of the Tom Kim's the next Tiger Woods. I think he's an appreciator, but the hype is a little bit. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna say this: if YTK is longer, if he could get to where he's above average, and I think this is from where he's below average, or if he could get average plus, I think like watch out. And then like this again gets to like why age matters. Is like we're gonna be if he like gets to average plus off the tee, I think he's gonna win a lot. And he could be factoring in bigger tournaments, regularly. But I checked in with Joseph Lamagna. He says he's averaging the same number of ball speed so far. He's not buying it. He's like, I hear it on the telecast. Because I was like, I was really trying because like if YTK, like I might be buying YTK stock if the distance. But he's played Sony, Amex, and Pebble, and he's saying that the ball speed number average is exactly the same.
Okay. He was
still hardly speedy.
He was a focus on the broadcast, mostly for the negative slow play stuff, and they were on the clock late. And then it felt like that last group was waiting all the time, right? I mean, 18 was a unique situation with the penalty shot, but like there was one time, I think it was
sad to see YTK's ball get washed out to sea with the tide.
He's like, it was on the beach, it got washed away. Like 11, I think Rory hit his wedge before Rose had like even finished pulling his ball out of the hole on 11. Like they were on top of that group, and then of course they were put on the clock, at least on the broadcast. And that all matters. What the broadcast can fly. The amount of coverage windows they're providing these events is like bananas. They teed up at 1:15. It was 6:30 was the planned coverage ending. I know it's groups of 3 and there's wind and all this stuff, but just bananas. But they sped it up with Tom Kim in the way. Cam Davis, jam job of the day, hits the ball. It was at 4 when his wedge hit the shot.
You see he chipped in then. Ball don't lie.
Chipped in. Reverse jam job. Got jammed. And he jammed back.
Cam Davis's like professional career has just been a perpetual jamming. Doesn't get put on President's Cup teams. Doesn't get into the Open despite being in the top 50 in the world.
Play better. His shot at 18 from the roots was wild. That was crazy.
I gotta have a conversation with Trevor about the P Cup. What did he do? What did he do to get in the P Cup doghouse?
It is a little odd. The only thing
favor all the bagel boys over a player that could probably stand toe to toe with any of the Americans.
The only issue with the broadcast though was the coverage gap. And now I was running around. I watched everything on tape. Apparently,
there was nothing wrong with the coverage gap. Everybody got to watch a great basketball game.
Illinois, Ohio State.
Everybody got a little slice, got a little preview of a team that could be going to the Final Four.
It seemed to clearly be a control room issue at Golf Channel. They went to like play the regularly scheduled like tape delay Bahrain, the BAPCO championship.
Did you see what
the leaders are playing 6 and 7, right on Pebble Beach. What did it go to? I thought it was Bahrain, right?
It went to a range. It was like pre-tournament range coverage with who was it? It was Andrea Pavan.
Okay.
Pavan.
All right.
Like getting warmed up before Bahrain.
So I think that was a mistake. It's not like them. We don't have coverage gap anymore. Something happened with the button at Golf Channel, and they went to that instead of keeping it live with CBS.
Is it maybe a microcosm of why CBS feels like a completely different product than NBC? Could that be part of it?
Perhaps. I love the bumper music they had going with the Grammys on tonight. Sabrina Carpenter, my daughter, like looked up and just watched for the next 10 minutes because she heard Sabrina Carpenter go into a commercial on the one break.
Did you see the Kanye girlfriend outfit?
I saw the news. It doesn't leave much to the imagination. I saw the headline. I know she's infamous for wearing, not a lot of clothes.
I showed it to my wife. She's like, is she wearing a dress?
Yeah. Why is Kanye there? Why is he even allowed?
I don't know.
He got kicked out.
Oh,
He was not invited. He got kicked
What?
out. He just showed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's just the PR side.
While we're here, can I ask a question back on Pebble, or you want to do Kanye minute here?
No, I don't want to do Kanye. Kanye minute seems like an opportunity for us.
What more is there to Kanye minute?
That's fair. You get.
I mean, come on.
You
show up with your girlfriend in no clothes. Just a PR stunt, for God's sake.
Hey PJ, real quick while we're on the coverage gap and everybody got treated to some Illinois hoops. Our two teams are about in the same area.
Identical. It's the KenPom ranking is like to the third decimal point difference.
Yeah. So St. John's, who do you like more? Which team do you like more in March?
I mean, listen, this is my argument that I've been making to people is that we are the 350th or whatever 3-point shooting team in the country. Why good teams lose in the tournament is because they forget how to shoot. You can't forget how to shoot if you can't shoot to begin with.
That's true.
All right.
I thought
like
you were a
that.
Syracuse fan. What are you just adopting? Multiple teams now.
I have never claimed to be a Syracuse basketball fan in my entire life.
All right, just football. Okay,
just football.
All right.
Because the Johnnies don't have a football team.
What question did you want to ask about Pebble?
Are you guys finally worried about B. Todd?
No. The man's seen hell and back. Man has seen hell. Finishing 78th to finishing 78th in a signature event and banking 33 grand for doing so. I'm not worried about B. Todd at all.
Is it 2 DFLs in a row?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he loses his game. This is the B. Todd. This is what we get when we sign up a Todd watch. It's not always pretty. Guy was washed out. He came back. I'm not worried about a DFL.
He might be washed out again.
That's fine. You know what? He's making money for it with no cut. He's making 35 grand for washing out again.
Who was your favorite? Who's your favorite non-Rory player to watch down the stretch? PJ and Brendan. Who was your favorite non-Rory player to watch today?
Justin Rose, obviously.
Oh, God, I love Rose.
How about the Euros? He's electric. He's electric.
He has like 3 celebrations.
Yeah, he's doing he was packing a tin. Like, what was that little thing? Like the Chesson Hadley snap, the LA thing. What's he doing? Guy's like,
he's got a big match on Tuesday. He gets to go back. I mean, Tom, how about this? YTK got the best of Rory on Monday.
When it mattered, head to head when it mattered.
Rory strikes back, and now Justin Rose gets to come back and come at Rory again. Good.
Yeah,
comment.
Rose.
We're Toddcast.
Toddcast. Between Lowry, Rose, Septic, Rory, good day for the Euros. Laurie Cantor maybe over at the Bapco winning in a playoff. Good day for the Euros. I don't think it means shit for September, end of September. Like Rory's gonna be on the team no matter what. See, it feels like Shane.
Thanks a lot.
Tank feels really good. Yeah,
is he number 1 in the world? Right? He's still number 1 in the world. FedEx Cup.
No,
or is it Hideki?
Hideki is.
No,
16 points.
Tank's number 1.
Okay.
According to my shot tracker account.
Okay.
It says Tank's number 1, Rory's number 3.
Do we need to read Rory's quote from Saturday about going to good golf? It basically, venues matter. You go to your run of the mill TPC or whatever. The venues matter. I thought Ryan French. Did you see him? Just question. Said if his position of venues are important, why did you only play this event once before it became a no-cut $25 million purse signature event? I think it's a fair question with the probably pretty fair answer that
I don't think he liked the Pro-Am.
The Pro-Am of it, yeah. It was usually nasty weather and an awful Pro-Am, and the format's changed, and he goes heavy in the Middle East in January. And And yeah, it is unique that he's the only one once in California. I think it was.
Yeah.
He
TPC
just
Harding Park.
hasn't played a ton, maybe less in California, but yeah, that was, I don't know, it was a fair comeback, I guess. If venues matter, why hadn't you played here more? Because I think the event wasn't, all that appealing. Would be my response, but a fair question from Ryan. Do you have any other thoughts on that quote, the run of the mill TPC or whatever?
I mean, I think people know where I stand on this.
All right. What about Jason Day's outfit?
Well, hit it.
God, you were on that. Oh, that's TJ?
Hit it, cut it
Is that
out.
PJ? Was that PJ?
I don't have access to the soundboard.
I was just waiting for somebody to say his name for 55 minutes.
I was like, Andy was like mid-sentence and hit the button there.
All right. I don't have
access.
This new computer I had to get. I don't have access.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
How ridiculous is this policy? I'm sitting in the Apple store with one of their geniuses at the Genius Bar.
That's such a highfalutin. I have questions about that.
The
standard for being a genius is
genius.
They couldn't fix my E key on my keyboard, for God's sakes. All right. What? What's your question?
Well, this thing, so the screen, I just all of a sudden got this black bar right up through the middle of the screen. And usually it's because it's crack. Yeah. And I get in there and they're like, there's no crack, there's no damage. Yeah. And I'm like, all right. They're like, it's gonna be $800 to fix.
Yeah, that sounds expensive.
And I'm like, okay, because it's like an expensive computer. And I was like, how long is that gonna take? And they're like 5 to 7 days. And I'm like, well, I need my computer.
Yeah. Yeah. And $800 in a week to fix it. Okay.
And they're like, well, like, you could buy another computer and return it when you're done.
Wow.
That's what? They don't have loaners. There's no, their solution is buy a computer and then return it. So I bought a computer, which I'm returning when my computer's out of the shop. How ridiculous is that?
That's like, seems unnecessary. And then they refurbish it and sell it again, or they just put it back in the box and just pretend like no one's fingers have touched it already and used it.
This is what the genius told me. I'll tell you what other who should be called geniuses?
Who?
Club Champions Master Fitters.
I love that. Those are proper geniuses. Proper geniuses at Club Champion. Now's the time to get dialed. God, I had a blast playing last week. I'm energized. You played pretty well. You were making some shots there when we played together on Wednesday. You were striking the ball. Those PXGs.
I'm a little worried. I gotta play this week, and I'm just worried it's gonna be gone. But I know it's not gonna be the club.
Who you're playing this week, though? Maybe
I'm gonna get body bagged.
You're gonna get body bagged.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be. I'm gonna get smoked.
But you'll be armed with the best weapons. That's for sure. You'll be armed with the best weapons.
He's going to be envious of my weapons.
You got Club Champion. Comes with the perfect fit guarantee. Perfect fit guarantee that ensures what you saw in the bay is what you'll see on the course. On average, Club Champions customers see 21 plus yards off the tee, 16 yards better dispersion with irons, measurably more fairways and greens in regulation. It has 5,000 five-star reviews. It's not an insignificant number. 5,000 plus, it says. And the last third-party study found that 7 out of 8 golfers lowered their handicap by an average of 5 strokes after just one season with their fitted clubs. That's a third-party study. 7 of 8 lowering their handicap. So it's worth it if you want to get a little bit better, get up to speed. You have no idea what you're doing, and you want a real genius to dial you in. Go to clubchampion.com/fried egg and use the code fried egg. You get a free driver or iron fit-in with a club purchase using that code fried egg at clubchampion.com/fried egg. All right. Any other Pebble cleanup
I
you want to
got
do?
a lot.
Great
I got
event.
a couple. I got to empty out the
through.
notebook.
Yeah, rip
All
through
right.
it.
How soft is the tour playing? They were clearly worried about conditions. They played 5 from 140 yards on Sunday.
At least they didn't call it. At least
The
they didn't do a
setup
wind
staff
play.
is so soft. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, they are. They are. But we can't holler about pace of play. They're scared about everything. They're just scared about backups, because people are going to holler about pace of play. We live in a moment of intense scrutiny. Now, that often brings improvement and a drive to be better. But, yeah, they're soft. I'll agree with you.
I got a text from my friend this weekend that made me. I got to read this for you.
Yeah.
So his son is like a huge golf fan.
Okay.
His son is let me see. His son is a 5th grader, which would make him what, about 10?
10, 11. Yeah. Yep.
So loves golf.
Although it depends these days. Gray shirting's big in grade school now.
Is that holding him back?
Yes. It's a big thing going on.
I
Especially
think
around
we're
me.
gonna gray shirt my daughter.
That's fine. I mean, she's an August birthday.
August 18th.
Right. That's totally that's totally reasonable. But I'm saying it's a big thing going on, Ronnie. Often for athletic reasons when they're in like 4th grade. It's ridiculous. But go ahead. All right.
So he said, I was watching a replay of Pebble last night with my 5th grader who loves golf. Dad, what happened to Scotty Scheffler? He stinks now.
What does that mean?
So he goes, no, he hurt his hand, but he's fine. He's still the best player in the world.
Yeah.
His son replies, they just showed that he's 150th in the world.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're poisoning the youth's minds with this.
The FedEx Cup strikes
Cup.
again.
No. Blocky. We're poisoning.
No way. No way.
That's terrible.
So
that sucks.
He says they're undermining they're undermining the demographic that might matter the most. My 10-year-old watches more golf than anyone I know under the age of 60. He'll watch the terrible events just to watch it.
Yeah.
And here he is thinking the Scotty Scheffler is now the 150th ranked player in the world.
Pretty good.
One other thing, was digging around, found myself digging around on Saturday night, and I found our friend at Spieth Legion, an incredible stat.
Our friend?
Oh,
he is in this instance, he or she.
My friend.
Okay.
My friend is Spieth Legion.
All right.
He found an incredible stat brought by Ryan7283. If Spieth doesn't do it next week in Phoenix, it will be a calendar year without finishing within 12 shots of a winning score.
It's a lot of shots. It's a lot of shots.
That's
he finished
T69.
T69 today, even, which was what, 21?
21 shots back.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't finish within 12 shots of the winner next week, he'll have gone a calendar year without finishing within 12 shots of a winner.
Why is Spieth Legion sharing this? Not really boosting their man, Spieth Legion over there.
Well, maybe Spieth Legion's having second thoughts of who they hitched that. Wish they had gotten on the Rory tracker.
They're better than Todd Legion right now, but not much. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on him? I mean, look, he hasn't played in like 5
I'm not going to have any
fine.
thoughts. I just thought that was an alarming statistic.
12 shots is a lot to not be within. That's a good alarming statistic. What else you got?
What was the shot of the day for you?
I don't know. I mean, Cam Davis from the tree roots way right was kind of wild. That was nuts.
Insane shot.
That was nuts. I mean, there's so many Tom Kim on the downslope on the bunker. Grant, I don't think he made the par putt. What hole was that? Like 15.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy. I think Rory, honestly, not a big deal. Not like the hardest shot. After he made the eagle, he then sticks it like driver
50,
wedge
yeah.
at 15 and sticks it to 3 feet, less than 4 feet. That was up there for me. It's just kind of like, no, we're done here. What about you? Was it the roots?
I mean, maybe the rose putt, just because the reaction that we got.
I've really come to love Rose. I mean, he's a doofus for sure. So, but I've really come to appreciate. Talk about longevity. I know he's not been as good as Rory, obviously, in that stretch, but guy's been around for a long time, and he's still like very, very, very good. So,
other one was the Tom Kim top on 1T yesterday. Did you see that?
Yes. Who did that a couple of years ago? Somebody did that right there at 1, and I can't remember who it was.
Tom Brady?
But no, a pro. Honest to God, that happened within the last 5 years.
It was Molinari.
Yes, Frankie. Yes, that's right. Okay, PJ, you're just on top of it.
I remember that.
All right. What else we got? You're coming in refreshing the old man's memory. Go ahead.
He made the birdie, but he was hitting a 3-wood. That used to be a realm of possibility thing with a driver. Now it's just a 3-wood. That's why the small driver makes a difference. Is you just see some wildly bad shots.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
What else do you have in your notes?
That's all I got.
That's all you got. An A+ event, I would say. I don't know if we're grading on a scale based on it's kind of been a slow start up till now, but that was I was so fired up for that. It just needs to be more compact. It doesn't need to be a 5-hour coverage window. Make it happen. Great coverage was great. The course looked great. The winds showed up. It was just a very good week for the PGA Tour. On the LPGA, Lim Kim wins the Tournament of Champions there with a 5-under 67. She beat Nelly Korda, who got hot in the final round. Not as hot as Minjee Lee, who shot, I think, a 10-under 62, but Korda went 7-under 65. She was like 10 shots back on Saturday at one point, or 8, I think. Started the day 4, held the lead for a minute, tied on the back 9. But then Lim Kim birdies 18.
Since the champions?
No, but she had a long break. She had to get in this by winning the Tournament of Champions, so she had to win an event. She won one of your favorites, I know, near and dear to your heart, the Lottie's Championship last year. So that was her first win since the 20 U.S. Women's Open. She won the Lottie's.
Our friend that went to Lottie's and had it turned on.
Had it on. So
I think dumb. I might have to go back to Chicago this year during the Lottie's.
Such a dumb
God, I would
bit.
kill for a night at Lottie's right now.
Yeah.
It seems so far away from my existence on life right now.
Well, it is. Yes, that's true. But you take, find joy in other things at this point.
You know what I don't want though? I don't want a Lottie's hangover.
No. So yeah, she had won that whenever that was in the fall, and so she gets into this event and then wins her third in quick succession following that second dub. A good debut. They finished 30 minutes ahead of their allotted TV window on NBC, so they had network coverage. That was a strong event. Get in well before Pebble, and that's done. On the Corn
celebrity
Ferry
division,
Joe Pavelski, I believe he's a hockey player.
Jeff couldn't even win that. Jeff came in second. It was terrible.
Jeff McNeil, the Mets baseball player.
And they interviewed him right during the coverage gap. It was great. It was perfect. That I switched away from Illinois to watch Jeff talk about not being able to win.
Switching away from Illinois.
Well, you were up by like 12 with like 50 seconds left. Who cares?
Were you reading my recaps? I was letting everybody know what had happened in the game. It was a great second screen experience for me this morning with Illinois and Pebble on.
Congrats to Lim Kim. On the KFT, Josh Teeter wins down in Panama.
Hey, guy. We just talked about him.
4A. Guy missed like 20 of 26 cuts or something last year. And now he's going to be back. I have nothing against him personally. By all accounts, a great guy. Most people stick out, like say he's awesome, dude. And I love to hear that. You know, could be on his way to another card. No, we don't need to do that.
How many PGA Tour events? Oh, here, this is Corn Ferry. Corn Ferry, he's got 2 wins, 5 runner-ups, and 180 starts, 110 made cuts. Let's hop over to the PGA Tour. He's played 246 events on the tour.
On the PGA Tour.
138 cuts out of 246. That's classic
Right
4A stuff.
Yeah. How many top 25? How many top 10s in 246 events? Do you have that handy?
I got that handy. All right, 246 starts, 2 runner-ups, 1 third place finish, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s. That's all I got. I don't have top 25s, but I'm about to hit you with his runner-ups. Where do you think his runner-ups are?
Barbasol. I'm gonna guess Barbasol.
It's got 2.
Like a fall event, Sanderson or something.
Man, you didn't give Teeter any credit here.
What?
Farmers Insurance Open. Torrey Pines T2 in 2013. Good. His other one, Puerto Rico.
That's 12 years ago. There you go. Puerto Rico. All right. Congrats to Josh Teeter on the win. I hope he makes it back. Good for him. He wins in Panama. Seems like that's a good. He's 45 now. Kentucky boy. Could be on his way back. In India, should we talk about before we go to while we're talking, I don't know if Teeter's a mule, but let's talk about Charlie Hoffman's. I don't understand this. He typed it up. He shared it.
What is he even saying?
I don't even know. Why did we send this? Is he arguing for something in particular? Is he like, what's the next step? Is there what we're supposed to do something with? Like, I don't even know. I'm not like offended by it. I just don't even know what it's there for. It's 1,000 words. Fellow members, now that's my 20th year on tour playing alongside you guys. I've been on the pack more times than I can remember. And as a 2-term player director, I want to share some thoughts on some of the recent topics. He says we're taking a lot of heat for slow play, and yeah, it's an issue. Cutting down field sizes will help, but only by a few minutes. Pace of play has been a challenge my entire time, 20 years on tour. It's a tough game, and when conditions, it takes time to play the right way. We need to take responsibility to be ready when it's our turn to play. We do it all the time. We just need to be more aware of it when we're out of position. I don't understand. What's he saying? Is he asking for something? Like, he's just stating the obvious. As JT mentioned, we have to work with the broadcast partners. We have a responsibility for it. He says, although he kind of says we're the best golfers in the world competing on the best tour in the world. That should always be the focus, showcasing the thought, skill, passion, and competition that makes our game great. Our officials do a solid job. Solid job feels like just such a backhanded compliment, right? Yeah. It's like he's a nice guy. Our officials do a solid job of managing broadcast windows based on real pace of play data, but not just arbitrary numbers. So, like, I guess you're not allowed to just say you should play in 4 hours. Our staff did an amazing job finishing in the broadcast window last week at the Farmers Insurance Open. So, I don't know what the point of this letter is. He also said, on swing 5, we don't have enough guys getting in for that. You had 3 guys on the alternate list. As a PAC member, we'll be sure to continue monitoring this to make sure these initiatives help the guys they're meant to. Maybe Josh Teeter down the line. He could be an on swing 5 opportunist. And then he's just rambling. Here's something else to think about.
Teeter would be a KFT swing 5 where he's swing a lot. They should have a KFT swing 5 that swings up
one spot. Yes, you go right. It's like a guy is like on a 2-way contract, and all of a sudden it's like There's guys injured. He's up from the G League, and then he's playing, a 6-man spot. Just give him a spot. Here's something else to think about. Charlie's just stuff on his mind. He's putting pen to paper here. If we truly care about strengthening our tour, we should be supporting as many PGA Tour events as we can. This feels like some high.
I feel like. Do you think he thinks there should be more tour events?
I think he thinks more guys should be coming to more tour events. Is what I'm reading here.
So do you think he thinks there's a world where instead of 46 there should be 55 tour events?
Nothing's out of the realm of possibility with Chuck Tuffman. Honestly, he could think a lot of things. And we've seen him when he gets going, jamming on the keyboard like he is here. He can get out over his skis. So many of you keep saying you want to play fewer events, yet you still find time for TGL, Race to Dubai.
This is a direct shot at Rory.
Race to Dubai, and other non-PGA Tour events. And that's going to continue regardless of field size. I mean, aren't the Euros allowed to play Race to Dubai? I don't understand why is he demanding that everybody play? I wonder if he's mad at Farmers Insurance, the field guy's not coming to that. This literally is the only part of the letter that seems to make any sense of it's calling out an issue that he's trying to I don't know what he's trying to do with it. But yet you find time for TGL. We have to support as many PGA Tour events as we can, but you want to play fewer events, but you still find time for TGL, Race to Dubai, and other
World Tour.
What are other non-tour PGA Tour events?
Is this
Showdown? Is he talking about the Showdown?
Rory.
And that's going to continue regardless of field size. Here's something else to think about. What a digression for a second. What's he doing? What is this paragraph?
The next time I write, which I don't know when the next time I write, I'm going to include that in the last paragraph.
Here's something else to think about.
Here's something else to think about.
After spending a lot of words to say nothing really, succinct or compelling, he goes to that something else to think about. The best competition happens when the best players go head-to-head in deep competitive field, not in small limited entry field events that leave deserving players on the outside looking in. This tour was built on open competition. That's what made our tour special for generations, and we need to keep pushing for that. At the end of the year, only 100 of us will keep our cards. We will start the season at 0 FedEx Cup points, and every one of us has a chance to be FedEx Cup champion. You have a chance, I suppose. Let's come together, put on a great show for our fans by giving them the strongest competitions and keep the PGA Tour moving in the right direction. This is our tour. Let's make it stronger together. I don't know who was asking for this or what it says, but he's issued a letter, open letter after JT's last week. That was more specific and more kind of a call to action. So that's Charlie Tuffman, just based off of Josh Teeter. I don't understand the TGL slide swipe. Last but not least this week on India, Ali Schneiderjans, the Asian Tour International Series. Ali Schneiderjans. Guy, talk about Todd going to hell and back. Did you realize he had surgery on each hip?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I had a question for you.
That's not a small surgery. Go ahead. What's your question?
Ali the Great One? Could he be the next Mateo? Could he be our next Mateo?
That's a great point. Bryson afterwards was like, that guy kicked my ass a lot in college. I said that guy beat my butt plenty of times, Ali Schneiderjans. He's only 31. He's won
once. Number 1 ranked amateur in the world.
Yeah. I didn't realize this. He's like, he talked to Brentley. Brentley had a quote. He's like, it was killing me. My body was done. It took more than a year. God, I can't believe he had surgery on both hips. And he had to wait 3 months apart. You can't be on both hips at the same. I can't imagine doing that. That sounds impossible. So you get one, you work your way back on that. Then 3 months later, he gets popped on the other hip. And he's out a year. So he's won on the KFT once, and now he's won International Series. India. That event was they couldn't finish on time every night because of fog and then pace of play and it just being an ass kicker. Bryson had some quotes.
DLF stuff.
He got blowing out to sea at 17. He called it visually intimidating. It's just set up where you have to strike your ball really well, and if you don't, you're going to get penalized. He compared it to Mayakoba. There's another one that's really difficult. I like it a bit to Mayakoba, where it's tight off the tee. It has hazards on both sides, and so it's a really difficult test of golf. But yeah, they asked him. He didn't sound like a big fan of the greens. Said, could we bring like prime golf here, like big time golf to India? It's like, yeah, you could have it here. It has all this, it's stout, but you got to do something with the greens. He didn't seem like he loved the greens. Did you have some DLF intel or insight about someone who played DLF? You said you
oh yeah, let me pull my email up
for a second.
Let me.
I got Ollie Schneider-Jans. Congrats to him for getting his first win in several years.
I'm gonna keep this anonymous.
Okay.
Apparently this guy's part of the DLF family or something.
Okay.
Growing up in Delhi and being a junior golfer, one of the highlights of my teenage years was being invited a couple times a year to play DLF with my friends. We really did not have exposure to many high-quality golf courses, especially none designed by superstars like Gary Player. So these outings were really special for us. Yep. I remember playing there one day, and the caddies told us we were in for a treat because the owner was playing ahead of us. Apparently, he liked the greens at a 13. The round was a complete nightmare. We got to the point where we had to putt so many balls off the green. We decided everything was an auto 2-putt on the back nine.
God.
I'd been scared so badly that I found myself standing over a 2-putt birdie putt, seriously thinking about laying up. He lives in America now. He's going back to visit his family in Delhi in a couple of weeks. And he's hoping to get a chance to sneak back onto DLF. And if he does, he's going to pick us up some hats.
That's good insight. Auto 2-putts for all the way around. Bryson loved it. He was there to grow the game. Maybe for real. News. I guess word is Sergio got a PGA Championship invitation. This is coming out of LIV. Great, fine. I don't know. It's February 3rd. PGA's in like 4 months. Why are we talking about should he get one? I guess. I don't know. He won the 2017 Masters. That was a while ago. He's still a good player.
Here's my thoughts. I think you could give Sergio and Adam Scott and Justin Rose exemptions
until they're 50
for like literally until they're 55, and I'm a-okay because those guys have been like fixtures of major championships for generations. For like they are now spanning generations with relevancy. Okay. And I think it's so rare in today's, and I know like Sergio hasn't really been competitive in a major since he won. But he also has 13 top fives in major championships, which if Ricky gets the sponsors exemption, I have no problem with Sergio.
Sure. Okay. Laurie Cantor won Bahrain. I don't know if I noted that, just to close the loop on the results from the weekend. Yeah.
He's a storyline to watch for the European Tour. Laurie Cantor. He could get his PGA Tour card and be suspended.
That's true. Could be on the Ryder Cup team. There's so much Ryder Cup chatter. It's January. It's February now.
Do you think Rory's good for the Ryder Cup team now?
I think he's good. I think he's all set. I get that they're all motivated in a Ryder Cup year. I get that that's sort of looming, but it's just like I don't know. I don't know what that means for September 28th. So Lowry, sounds like a primary motivation of his. So he had a great week. How about him missing the cut last week and then going 65 on Saturday and solo too, coming up 18. So I would overall grade the weekend like an A, just between coverage, leaderboard, venue.
A minus.
Needed it.
A,
sure,
maybe A. Yeah, why not? What else?
It was firm. right?
For a
The
PGA
golf
Tour
course
event.
was firmish there on Thursday early.
Well,
right?
it didn't
And then they got
rain.
wind.
It literally did not rain for a month before this week.
And now we go to TPC Scottsdale. So we'll have that going. So Tory, TPC Scottsdale.
What'd you think of the Luka trade?
I mean, I got it late last night. I was like, I did the blocky. I mean, I was like, that's not a real thing.
No way.
But I wasn't being a performative bullshitter like he was. I was actually incredulous. I couldn't believe it.
I cannot believe the Lakers got a 25, like one of the 5 best players in the NBA who's 25.
Guy sounds like he just likes a good meal. People calling him, people getting after him. So you just trade him? He's like maybe the second best player in the world. You trade him because he likes to go to Buffalo Wild Wings or something? I don't understand this. Insane. I love that the people in Dallas are like revolting. They're putting coffins outside the arena. They're spray painting like graffiti. And they were in Cleveland today. They played the Cavs. Cavs scored 50 points in the first quarter. 50 in the first quarter. And the guy does a press conference. He says he brought it to the owner. The owner started laughing.
Well,
And then he talked to Pelinka. Pelinka's like, well, I mean, wouldn't this be crazy if we like the guy's like giving off Zach Johnson Ryder Cup captain vibes. Guy needs to stop talking. It's not helping.
They needed to get better at defense. That's why they made the trade. They gave up 50 points in the first quarter. You got to get better at defense.
They traded a 25-year-old superstar.
Superstar is underselling it. I think it's the worst trade in sports history. Like it makes no sense.
They got a 31-year-old who's always hurt.
I think someone just pointed out tonight that Darren Fox got a better haul than Luka for the Canes. Or like somebody got more picks.
Got traded for Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, more first picks for De'Aaron Fox than Luka.
I gotta say, I am ecstatic that the Zach LaVine era in Chicago is over.
Having a good year.
Now, what I'm sad about is that my West Coast adopted team now features DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before.
Honestly, like I can't get over it. It feels like it's not a political statement. It honestly feels like something a politician would do just to be like crazy and just to make headlines. But they're dealing with like maybe a 20-year like fallout from this move.
Well,
like,
that was my favorite quote. The future to me isn't 10 years from now because I'm not going to be here.
Right.
I can't believe that the Mavs ownership was okay with this. That's the other thing. Multiple people were okay with this.
And they didn't bid it out. Like they didn't do it. Like they did it secretly and they just did the first buyer and they wanted to get ahead of something. Like they're just covering it. It is wild. I was locked into that late last night that I couldn't read or listen to enough about it this morning. Just and the whole NBA being like front offices and players, like nobody had any idea, and they're all sort of like this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
My favorite thing is that Shams had to tweet over it, being like, "This is real." Everybody thought it was a fake trade, that he got hacked.
What would surprise? Who would surprise you more right now being traded?
Wemby.
Like what would Joker?
I think that's the only
Wemby.
Wemby.
If I got an alert, I got the push notifications. How I found out on my phone as I was like going to bed. If I got one that said no, Jokic has been traded. The Denver Nuggets have traded Nikola Jokic to wherever, Chicago Bulls. I would be equally as stunned.
God, I
Giannis
would
wouldn't
be
stun me
stunned.
No, Giannis is gonna get traded at some
because he's
point.
agitating. Maybe. I cannot believe it. Apparently, he didn't ask for a contract. He didn't ask for a trade. He didn't say he wasn't going to sign the Supermax. It's NBA minute here, but Wemby and Joker.
Can I just point out some Bulls misery?
Sure.
We've traded Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine in the last 12 months. Can you tell me how many first-round picks we've gotten back for those players?
Come on. Caruso, LaVine, and who was the other guy?
DeMar.
DeRozan? Like, hopefully 2, 3. How many? 0.
0.
Josh Giddey?
Arturas, I can't even pronounce his last name. Arturas, AK is a bagel boy. He belongs with Pendy and Corey Connors.
You think you're getting a 1 for Vooch? Vooch could be your ticket to a first round pick.
We're not getting a 1 for Vooch.
YouTube commenter Jay Monahan's next job, Mavs GM. I mean, Jay's doing a bang-up job compared to that guy.
How did Jay do in the Pro-Am?
I had that
imagine how mad people would have been if he won.
Well, did you see Damron made a joke? Bob Damron, my old colleague on Morning
Big
Drive.
shot, Bob.
They said, that swing looks good. It means he should be doing more work. Like the joke you make about like an attorney's not billing enough hours because he's too good at golf. Like you shouldn't be good at golf if you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. He was just making a joke, and Nuclear took it and said like, "Oh, PGA Tour broadcaster eviscerates, takes down Jay. He should be working more and not playing golf." And Damron, like, I probably shitting his pants because it's on PGA Tour broadcast, PGA Tour Live. And yeah, he was just like, no, it's just like a cliche joke you make. And he was complimenting his swing. Do you have where Jay finished?
He played with Zalatoris, right?
Yes.
T72. He had to be happy about finishing T72.
Yeah, you don't want to be too high. There weren't a lot of sticks. There aren't a lot of sticks in the AM side. The women probably have more sticks with some of the, the Smoltz types and the former athletes. But a lot of guys in like
he's the stick boy.
A lot of guys in like the 4 to like 11 range of handicaps. Not that it matters. It just sometimes you expect, I don't know, better players sometimes. Some really studs. No, Monahan was with Denny McCarthy. T47.
Who played with
So we got that.
Somebody.
Oh, he's listed with both. Maybe it's another J. Maybe it's a fake. It's the other J Monahan, the caddy. I don't know. There's 2 Monahans on the
husband.
Got a spot. There's multiple Monahans on this board. Okay. I think that does it. That's plenty. NBA minute and everything else. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Talk to you then. We're going live after TGL Tuesday night, Ball Frogs LA. Yeah. Okay. We'll see you there. Lock in. What do they say? Tap in.
Mic figured out.
PJ, tap in. Live after TGL Tuesday.
It's a late one. It's a 9 o'clock TGL. So
it's gonna be similar to this.
Yeah.
11 o'clock. If it's a blowout, we'll start early.
Yeah.
Okay. Your Boston boys need to get their act together. Bring it for LA. We'll talk to you then. See ya.